Welcome back to Giggle and Grow, everyone. We have a special guest today who is a full-time content creator. Today, we're going to cover exact steps to starting from scratch and making a full-time living through content creation. Maureen, if you want to introduce yourself, we're so excited to have you at Giggle and Grow.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the podcast, Courtney and Morgan. I'm super excited to be here. Hi, my name is Maureen Evelyn. I work full-time as a content creator, and I started this journey about 2 years ago officially creating content. And over the last 2 years, I grew my personal brand past 100,000 followers and was able to go full-time doing what I love, which is pretty amazing. So I hit consistent over 10K months, working from my cottage, traveling the world, which is super fun. And I want to inspire people to just get out their phone, record that video, because if you create content, it has the potential to absolutely change your life.
It really does. It's huge, specifically for you. I mean, I love to know how like an everyday person can become an influencer like yourself.
The way I started is I just started posting 3 videos a day, every day on TikTok. And when I started, they looked terrible. I was talking to my clients this morning about this, and literally, like, my first few videos were so blurry. Honestly, probably my first 300 videos were horrible. Even now, I post content that I'm like, this isn't perfect, but I post it anyway. So
Yep.
I think the thing that holds most people back from becoming a full-time creator is they either put in 50 reps and then they quit because they think it takes 50 reps to be successful, or they just don't start because they're afraid and they think it has to be perfect. But I love telling people that it's really important to just take messy action, post that first video, because now after posting 1,500 videos online, I've grown an audience and it completely changed my entire life. But if I didn't put in over 1,000 reps, I never would have seen that potential.
Right. Right. I know that our videos were not the best, gotten a lot better, and we're constantly working at it every day. And it's definitely something that we're trying to get better at. But
Definitely. I know something you helped me specifically with is that perfection side. I am definitely a perfectionist to a T. So for me to put out a blurry video, it was so hard. And my phone's an iPhone 11. I mean, I don't get quality videos on there anyway. So just changing that mindset to turn it around and just put it out there, put it for people to see, because you, like you said, you never know. It just takes that one. So yeah. I'm sure people have seen your face on social media at some point, right? You've had a viral video go off about rejection. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and just what that's all about?
20 million views.
Yeah, the 20 million views.
How can we get there?
Yeah. So when I got out of high school, I decided I'm going to take out a piece of paper. I put it on my bedside table and I wrote down all these crazy goals. And I wrote them down as a joke because I think I had just finished watching Legally Blonde. And I was like, wait a second, let me apply this to my own life. So I wrote down get into Harvard, be a CEO, run my own business, travel the world, like move into a house, like all this stuff that I was like, this is not going to happen. I was like, this is crazy. And I just wrote down this huge list, get a good job. Like, I don't know why I thought I would be working a really high paying 9 to 5 job while also being a CEO, while also running a business. It made no sense, but I wrote it all down. And then I just started at the top of the list and went down the list, and I just applied to Harvard, and then I got waitlisted. And then I applied to a $40,000 marketing job at the age of 18, and they offered it to me. And I was like, what? And then I turned that job down, and then I started my own marketing agency. And I shared that story in the rejection therapy video. It went viral first on TikTok, then on Instagram, then on YouTube. On every platform, it got millions of views, which was wild. People were wanting to like fly me out for interviews, all because of one 58-second video. And what people usually don't realize is that video wasn't scripted. I recorded it after eating a Caesar salad at my desk. I recorded like 5 videos in that same sitting. The other 5 didn't go viral, and that one, for some reason, took off. And it's because I took messy action and I hit post, but that video changed the trajectory of my life because it grew my following, poured income into my business. And even before then, I was a full-time creator making great money from social media. But when you have one video go off like that, it's crazy what 58 seconds of work can do to the course of your career.
Absolutely. Did you have any other videos go viral prior to that? Or maybe not viral, but hit like a high number of views?
Yeah. So I had multiple videos go viral, getting hundreds of thousands of views, but I had never had a video get over 20 million. And even when I talk to a lot of creators nowadays, I've meet very few creators that will have one video that gets over 20 million views. It's just kind of unheard of. Because if you think about how many people are in the United States, I think I was calculating like the age range, and like out of 20 million for age range, I was thinking like, wait, 1 in 7 people maybe had seen that were like around our age range. I had people emailing me about, oh my gosh, my friend just saw that from high school. And then the person that was working at our barn got the video sent to her, and then she sent it and she's like, I know that girl. And it started getting shared everywhere. And I was like, okay, that's absolutely crazy. But before that, my other video, well, I had multiple videos, but one of the other videos that went viral, I filmed on a plane of my laptop screen showing how I create content, and it was blurry, but I landed and I was like, you know what, messy action. I posted anyway. That one went off to go viral, and that poured income to my business. And it's just like, so many people will not post something because they think it's not perfect, but that might be the difference between like $10,000 in revenue or not.
It's so true. It's so true. I've already started seeing other influencers take your rejection therapy and actually start posting videos of themselves doing it.
Yeah.
And then sitting down and going in with a guy, one of your rejections, right, that you were scared of. They sat down and asked the guy for a drink or to have a drink with them. They ended up sitting there and talking for 2 hours. I mean, I've seen them kind of going off and off that too. They've posted many more following that, and it's just so cool. I'm like, hey, I know who started this.
Yeah. It's huge. I mean, I feel like you learn so many different things throughout your career, but if you could tell somebody who says, oh, I want to start today, and what would be that one thing that you would say you do?
Yeah, if someone wanted to start being a content creator today, I would say first, don't sell anything, just give free value. Like, build your audience, and then once you build that value with the person, then you can switch over to selling. And then that's how you can be more successful. A lot of people go into social media anticipating to their first month make $5,000 or hit a $10,000 month, because a lot of the information posted online isn't accurate. They say it's easy. It's not going to be easy, but it is going to be simple because you just have to put in the reps. So just start not anticipating any result. Just get addicted to the process. And then when you get addicted to the process, the outcome will happen. Like, instead of thinking, oh, I'm going to go to the gym to get a 6-pack, you're going to quit because in 3 weeks you're not going to have a 6-pack. Instead, go to the gym because you want to go to the gym, and that way you can check it off your calendar. So I always tell new creators, throw up a calendar, make sure you check the box every day, and just post. And if you do that with your eyes closed for a year, maybe it takes 2 years, it'll change your life. But a lot of people quit way too soon.
Yeah. And I think oftentimes too, and I've mentioned this before, but I think right when you're on the verge of success, often that's when people want to quit. And if, like you said, if you just keep pushing that extra day or extra weeks or extra months, right, you're going to see that, and it's going to show up in your work. So no, definitely so.
Consistency is key. That is what I have learned with you, Maureen, is that being consistent and doing different things, but actually posting the videos over and over is very, very helpful.
Yeah. Now, for our listeners here, have you noticed a big difference between posting videos on TikTok versus posting videos on Instagram, and that success and what that looks like?
Yeah, so I feel like a few years ago, TikTok was definitely the platform that was the easiest to grow on. And I feel like Instagram has upped their game recently, where Instagram's been way easier. It's weird how the platforms change like that. But what I always tell creators, which is what you guys have done such a great job setting up, is like, just create one video and then post it on all the platforms. So like, I don't care if in 2 years Instagram disappears or TikTok disappears or YouTube disappears or Facebook disappears, because at the end of the day, it's my personal brand, and I'm going to paste it on whatever social media platform is available. So I always tell people, hey, don't worry about what platform or where to put it. Just focus on the cupcake, which is the content, and then sell it in whatever storefront you can find. And the storefront doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if someone's feeling overwhelmed getting started, would you, maybe they don't want to do 2 or 3 social medias at once, do you have a platform that you would suggest them to use right off the bat?
Yeah, if you're starting from scratch, I recommend TikTok because it is that messier platform. I call it messier because it's like Instagram is filled with so many creators because it's polished, it's beautiful. And then TikTok, if you're a complete beginner, you're like 10 times more likely to go viral, because TikTok, it's like based on it ranks you every video, right? So like you have more potential to go viral each time, whereas Instagram, it's more of a community platform. So it is easier to go viral if you already have a following. I know a lot of people on TikTok where they'll post 3 videos and their third one gets 1 million views. Whereas I don't think that's necessarily as likely if you were to start on YouTube or Instagram because there's a higher barrier to entry. So I definitely say start on TikTok because it's easiest.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely. No, and TikTok, I'm not someone that like scrolls and scrolls and scrolls, but I do definitely, I often notice I'm like, wow, this video, if I just posted this kind of video, I mean, they got 500K likes on this. I'm like,
You see this video? I'm like, well, let's do the same video. But try to be creative as well.
No, I just had a coworker. I mean, he's in college. He's just having fun with social media right now, but wants to eventually run his own business one day. I think maybe even start a social media platform. Who knows? But he's just right now posting all these random videos that start with a little cliffhanger, right? And it's not very long. He just ended up getting, I think, over 220 million views on his as well. He was like, I just threw something up there and it went off. And he's like, and now he's starting to see all the trickles coming in. And I'm like, I told him, I'm like, I'm jealous of you.
We will get there, right?
We'll be there.
So I actually have a question for you, Maureen. So I know you have an accelerator program. It's something that we've both been a part of, something that's really, really helped us. What does success look like in your accelerator program, like for some of your clients? I know what it looks like for us, but I'm curious, do you have a benchmark? What does that look like for your clients?
Yeah, I love defining success differently for each person because I've had so many clients that they start from 0 on Instagram. Like Amy, for example, she went from 0 on Instagram to 30,000 followers, and that was a huge win. Or like Kelsey, she grew 18,000 followers in just a matter of weeks. Or like Elle, she went through the accelerator and she gained over 100,000 YouTube subscribers and got mailed a YouTube play button. And all the vanity metrics are there, right, for people in the program. The amount of followers gained, income gained. I helped a client go from a $90,000 year to a multi-six-figure year working with me over the course of a year. So she's absolutely killing it, still working with me. But the results that make me the happiest is seeing people's confidence shift, because a lot of times you can't boil it down to followers, because I have had multiple clients, gain 100,000 followers or gain 50,000 followers, but then maybe their business isn't set up correctly and then they can't handle all the traffic. So I do my job too good and they go viral and then they're like, wait, now what? So that's why I love seeing clients get that confidence. Like they know how to create content better, because it's inevitable that you will go viral one day if you keep creating. And then if you have that confidence is the thing that's going to make you a successful business owner. So that's a win I absolutely love seeing clients achieve.
I absolutely love that. I know when I was working in corporate specifically, I didn't even realize confidence was kind of a thing that was stopping me from my own success. I thought it was all these other things. And they're like, no, Morgan, I think it just simply boils down to your confidence. I'm like, wow. Like that, but it's so true. And often you don't realize that until you have someone amazing like you kind of guiding you and just kind of, I don't know, bringing that to the surface, helping you get through that. So
I definitely think confidence for us in particular has shifted a lot. We came into this being, oh yeah, a podcast is just a podcast, right? And through the program, we've really learned how to turn it into an actual business. And we actually are producing content every day, and we're constantly just making it happen. Was really, really big for us, because I think before we were so overwhelmed by what it should or shouldn't look like, and you were able to really make a grounding for us for our podcast. So I love that for us, and thank you.
Of course. No, I love helping you guys. You guys are great.
I know we talked a lot about your program and what you're doing so much, but I kind of want to turn it to you, Maureen. And while helping others succeed, you also have your own goals. And so what do those look like for the rest of 2024? How do you keep yourself going, even though you've had a viral video go off multiple now, and you're still wanting to achieve, right? So
That's a great question. I always am working to redefine my goals, because at first in my business, I was solely income driven. I was like, have to hit a 10K month, have to hit a 6-figure year, then I'll be quote unquote successful. And then I kept hitting those benchmarks and I was like, great, now what? So now I'm looking at the goals of like balance. So I went from working 12 hours a day to now I work about 4 hours a day, which has been really nice. But my goals for the rest of the year are continuing to grow my membership so that way I can help more people at a more affordable price point. And then I am also having the goal of hitting 100,000 YouTube subscribers. So the first year in business, I prioritized TikTok. We grew that to over 40,000. And then I prioritized Instagram this last year and we grew that to like 58,000 now, I think. So the YouTube channel's almost at 18,000 now. And I want to get that to 100,000 because then I think I can reach more people, inspire more people to start businesses, create content, get over their fear of rejection.
Right.
And I want to do that in a balanced way because before, I mean, I talk about this on social media all the time, but I really did live that peanut butter lifestyle of like only 8 spoonfuls of peanut butter in between 12 hours of Zoom calls. And while the income was amazing, I realized income doesn't mean anything if your life isn't balanced and if you're not feeling fulfilled. So now I realize I'm more looking for a feeling versus a number, which is kind of the first time in my life I've done that.
That's
I
huge.
love that. And I also do have a question off that. I'm someone that very much is, if I'm go, 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 or do, that is what's going to bring me my success. How are you taking that step back and really forcing that balance in your life? I mean, like you said, you were kind of eating that peanut butter in between everything. And now you're like, wait, I get a full meal now. So how did you switch that mindset more so?
So at first I told myself, oh, just relax more. And then I realized that's not going to work for me. Like if I tell myself to relax more, that's not going to work. So I literally, I'm huge on hire a coach when you need a coach. I hired a relaxation coach to tell me to relax. And then I scheduled it into my calendar, non-negotiable relax blocks on my calendar. And then I set my calendar working hours in my business. That way clients can't book calls outside certain hours. And what's crazy is I thought when I took almost a step back in my business a little bit and stopped working 12 hours a day and started working 4, that like my income was going to go down by 3 times. And I actually hit my highest sales month ever. I think this was like a month and a half ago. We hit like a $17,000 month. And I was like, while I was traveling, I was like, that is absolutely crazy because I've never worked less, but it just shows you the benefits of compounding results when you post on social media because then you have that credibility and you're able to sign more clients. So instead of just telling myself like, oh, relax more, I actually forced relaxation. And then that enabled me to actually relax because if I didn't treat relaxation like a goal, it wasn't going to happen.
That's and so curious for our listeners who maybe think, oh, well, I have to work 12 hours to get to where Maureen is before I can relax. Then would you suggest a little bit more push in the beginning, relax at the end? Or what is your suggestion around that? And how can our listeners lean into that?
Yeah. So I always tell people, I had someone ask me this a couple of days ago, and it's such a great question that you make there of like, it depends on how fast you want to get there. I had the goal of go from 0 to 6 figures, and I wanted to do that as fast as humanly possible. So I was willing to put in 12, 14-hour work days, but most people don't expect that return in a year and a half, 2 years. So I always, whenever you start something, I think you got to give it more push in the beginning because what most people do in social media or in a business is they push at 60% and they get no results. So it's 60% wasted effort. Versus if you just give it 80% or 90%, you then get paid 10 times more than everyone else in the industry because no one else is operating at that 90%, 98%. So if you sprint for 2 years or 1 year, you then propel yourself in front of a ton of people and then you operate up here. It's kind of crazy to see the people that I started with. I kind of look at it on a competitor line, for lack of a better word, where we all started our businesses at the same time. In the beginning, they weren't working 12 hours a day. And I was like, wow, they're more balanced. They're going to probably be more successful. What if I burn out? And then I talk to them now and like a lot of them have went back to corporate jobs or they're not running their business anymore because they didn't give it that push in the beginning. So I'd say you always put in the work in the beginning and then you'll benefit on the other side. And all the entrepreneurs I talk to that are making like over $100,000 a month, they did that with an initial insane push and then they ease off the acceleration. So I think it's essential to do it at first, but not forever because it's not sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good tip. That's a really good tip.
Honestly. And I mean, I know you mentioned too, some individuals that you work with, including us too, some people do have a full-time job while starting their business. Do you have any tips for individuals that are trying to do both, but still kind of, give that good push at the beginning, just that balance that you might have to find to manage everything?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think Alex Hormozy mentions this, but he says build your dream life on the weekends. So instead of using the weekends to escape from your corporate life, if you don't like your corporate life, use the weekends to build up your content creation. Because a lot of times I'm only creating content. Maybe I create content 3 days a week some weeks. So like any 9 to 5er could create content on the weekends, schedule it out to go out while you're working, or create content of you at your 9 to 5. I know a lot of people do that and then they go viral on social media. They make a full-time income doing that. But I think it's really essential to view it as your 5 to 9. I know that's a trend on social media now of like view your 5 to 9 as the time frame you use to build that following, that additional income stream. And I always tell people you don't have to quit your 9 to 5 right off the bat or anything. Build it up as a side income and then let it replace your corporate income. And then you can quit your corporate job if you do want to leave. Instead of, a lot of people will just quit their corporate job, not realize what it takes to be successful on social media, have kind of a stressful incident there. And then they're like, okay, I didn't realize it was going to take this much work. So if you can ease yourself in and out of them, I think that works more smoothly.
I agree.
Definitely. I love that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that doing it on the weekends is really big, and being able to prioritize certain things that matter is really big. So I guess I'll flip it back around to you and curious to you, like now it doesn't sound like you have to go on the weekends, but in the beginning, was that I think you had maybe mentioned a little bit, but it was a big part of what you did every day. You did do a lot of weekend. Can you kind of explain like the sacrifices that you had to have in order to get where you are?
Yeah, definitely worked weekends for the first like year. Every day of the week was the same. It was a work day. I didn't know Monday from Thursday, from Friday, from Tuesday. It was all the same, right? And I booked sales calls on Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays, Tuesday, any day that someone wanted to talk to me. I was like, great, let's get on a Zoom call, I'll close you as a client. And I took so many unqualified leads because I was just like, oh, someone wants to get on a Zoom call. Great, let me see if I can monetize this. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, I really did kind of take an extreme approach of like when I moved out, I moved into a barn loft that was like barely furnished. And I was working from there. And I was also working other jobs in social media, making $12 an hour, doing social media marketing jobs while posting my content, hoping that I could sign my own clients. Mm-hmm. And then I moved from that $12 an hour job to an unpaid internship, thinking it was an opportunity, did that for months, never ended up panning out to be a job. Then I got promoted to a $30 an hour management job for this hippie wellness company. And I was like, this is not what I want to be doing, right? And I was like, okay. So then I knew I had to give it my all. So those first few months in the barn loft, just like grinding. And I've never had a TV in my house since moving out. The last 3 houses I've lived in, I just haven't, because I'm like, okay, I can't monetize that. So when I moved out of the barn loft and into the house I was living in, it was 2-story. I didn't furnish it because I was like, furniture is going to distract me from my vision. If I have a couch to sit on, that's going to distract me. So the whole 2-story house wasn't furnished. And when I had people over for dinner, they sat on the floor, and I had a Walmart pop-up desk in one of the bedrooms as an office. And it was like my laptop, Walmart desk. And then I would use Scotch tape and tape myself to the chair. That way I would work 12 hours a day. And I was like,
I love that.
A little extreme, but it definitely helped, because if I left that office, the rest of the house was empty. And it honestly felt lonely when my sister came over. She's like, this feels like a jail. And I'm like, kind of, that's the point. So I work more in the office. It was a beautiful house, but that was some of the ways I got myself to work harder in the beginning.
Yeah. So sacrifice.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely. And I mean, you changed up a little bit too, right? You changed your direction trying to get to where you wanted to be. What was the most challenging aspect about that? I mean, you definitely talked about your sacrifices, right? And what you had to make to get there, but what was really the most challenging of that all?
I think the most challenging part was just signing the very first client, because I wasn't sure if it was possible. And people had told me, like, you need a degree to be successful. You need a college degree. You need to have corporate work experience in order to run your own business. You need to have prior business experience. And I had business experience from running my small skincare company in high school, but I thought, oh, maybe I do need to be 30. Maybe I need to be 40. Maybe I need to be 50 to run a successful business. So I think once I got over that limiting belief, and then I signed my very first client at $500, once I got over that hurdle, it just clicked for me. And I was like, I literally believe like your first $500 or your first $100 you make from social media is the best and hardest money you'll ever make from social media, because you realize oh my gosh, I just had to rinse and repeat that. So anyone in the beginning, the second you cross that like $100, you're set because it just gets easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That is so, your story is so inspiring. I mean, I wish when I was 18 years old, I went off and did what I did. I mean, and I'm one of those people that's now 25 looking back, and, and I'm glad I started it. And I think it just all takes out that one, yes, go for it, do it, to
Yeah.
really make it all happen. And you did that sooner rather than later. And I think it's such a beautiful thing and really inspiring. So
Yeah, and I'd love for you to tell some of our listeners who are maybe a little bit older, is it possible? I'd love to hear your thoughts around that.
Oh, 100%. I think it's even more possible for those people because the first numerous sales calls I took, I had people asking like how old are you? Because I mean, when I started, I was like a good 98 pounds and like I did not look like a business owner. And people were like, can I trust handing you $1,000? Can people ask that? And they were like, why don't you have a degree? But so I think if you're older, such a huge competitive advantage, especially to create content online, which a lot of people in their 40s, 50s, they think, oh, I can't be on social media. I'm not a sorority girl. When really you have such an advantage. My clients that are older almost always go viral easier. As long as they can handle posting, they go viral easier because there's less competition, because there's less people that are older on social media platforms. So literally any age, I think you should be creating content if you want an additional income stream, an online income stream. Just post what you're passionate about online. And it's never too late to start, but don't wait 5 years. So I don't care what age you are, if you're like 10 years old or if you're 95, just don't wait 5 years. Just start today and then you'll be good.
Yeah.
And I think we're always trying to grow no matter the age we are. So I think being able to find those people to connect with is important, which is why, like you said, go for it. Share your thoughts, share your ideas, because you never know who's going to love them. So
yeah,
I love that.
And I think for us, like we completely started from scratch and we had no idea where we were going. And we just had this idea that we wanted to start a podcast together and that we wanted it to be about positive growth in our life. And like, here's what we've turned into. Every day we're constantly growing. And so I guess my last question is that I'd love to ask, what would you suggest for somebody who is starting from scratch? What is that extra push or motivation that you think they need to get started today? Because I know we talked about what you need, but what's that motivation that you think you could give them to help somebody start today?
Yeah, I always tell people, write down your why. Why do you want to do this? And I do this all the time too. I was talking to one of my business mentors today, actually on a phone call, and I was like, okay, I feel pretty content at this level. And he's like, Maureen, why do you want to get to the next level? And I was like, okay, that way I can buy land, buy a property, help more people, have greater impact. Like that way I have more time, freedom, flexibility, because your body isn't going to want to wake up and create content unless you're just gifted to love creating content. But let's be real, like not everyone is. So when I write down my why, I love sticking that on my mirror, sticking that on my fridge. That way, if I'm ever feeling discouraged or a video gets 100 views, my videos get 100 views all the time. And that doesn't stop me from making great income from social media. And it shouldn't stop anyone because I know the why. I'm doing this for the long term. And even if every video flops for me for the next 2 years, I'm still going to create, because in 2 years, one might go off and then we'll be good to go, right? So if people have their why, it'll keep them moving forward, which I never used to realize the importance of when I started. I thought I could just write down, hit a 10K month. But then I realized why? Why do I want a 10K month? Because that provides X, Y, Z. And that keeps me moving.
Yeah, that's all really great. No, I appreciate everything that you've told us today. I think our listeners can really hone in on a lot of these tips and know that we started from scratch. You started from scratch. You have to start somewhere. And writing down those whys, having sticky notes around your house. I still do it. I do it to remind me to do certain things. So I love the sticky note. That is a huge thing. And I think, we really appreciate you hopping on with us today. And Morgan, you want to send her off?
Yeah. So Maureen, you truly have inspired us in, like Courtney said, so many different ways. And I think what you were able to share today is going to reach a lot of other people too. We're all trying to grow together. We've got to learn from you. And if anyone could or needs the extra push, we know our Maureen's got you, and and she's willing to help you out. So thank you, Maureen.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast, guys.
Of course. Bye.